Right, I'm live. I should be live. Now I've got 3 people watching so far. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes for things to warm up till more people arrive before I get into the subject matter. Because of various technical problems, I didn't have a chance to advertise this for as long as I wanted to. But I am going live. I'm just going to share it now on various places. Okay, so Facebook post and Twitter. Hang on. Oh. Perhaps if you're logged in. Okay, right. That's good. Okay, so now I'm on Twitter. I'll just go to Magé OVNI. Magé UFO, Magé OVNI. And see what there is. There's more English stuff coming out now. There's a lot of updates, incidentally, if any of you are wondering. More about Reddit posts being deleted. Again, this seems like it's the work of the admin on the group rather than the CIA or GCHQ or anything. But we got the same people as OVNI Magé and Magé UFO, so there's a lot more English language stuff now. There's no in terms of visual stuff. There's no new material as such, but there are updates in terms of information. There's some more material on the ground. There's some more research being done on the ground from local people, which appears to shed some light on the subject. But this is a video I've not seen before. I'm just looking at it now. It was this one. Oh no, I've seen this one. No, I've seen that one. I thought it wasn't one. I thought one I haven't seen before. But Magé OVNI. OVNI Mage. If hopefully I'll get a lot of these. There's Arthur Iglesias is doing his stuff as well. The UFO podcast has taken an interest in this. There's more jokes and things like that. People are having a laugh about this, and why not? Why not? There's been some videos from the area which shows there are people gathering. Like last night, there was a kind of sky watch there in Magé and the surrounding areas last night. There's been a bit of confusion about locations, incidentally, which I'll go into, about where these things actually happened, where everything happened. But so far, there's a few. Oh, I've got people. People have arrived. Yes, I have friends. Barney's dead. Hello. Steve071. Al McCall. Darren Hesmondley. Lofty. Mark Hollingsworth. Spotted UFOs, Ghost, and Chris. Dr. Jackie F. Johnson. And nothing as it seems. E.T. Whoops. Where am I? E.T. is there. That's a good name. And we have 3D Gunner, 3 Gunner, Jock of the Ages, greetings, Zythantiops, and Archaeologista. Oh, I think I know who she is. Good evening, Gemma. Hello. Logistica. All right. Rillman, hello. Goonlove. BitChute is there. Oh, hi, BitChute. Great, you're here. Is it treason as well? Is there? All right. Now we got who else is here? Let's have a look. Just want to say so thanks for all. Everyone's saying good evening. ET says, I see there's rumors of American military aircraft flying down to Brazil yesterday. Typical modus operandi. Yes, I heard about that. Several people were reporting that. Jackie says she loves my hamster. I don't have a hamster, Jackie. I don't have one. I used to when my daughter was a kid. Zythantiop says, did your computer blow up? Happens to Miles Johnston quite a lot. It's likely to be happening a lot more now he's been demonetized. No, last night it was being very sulky last night. I tried to start the live stream and it wouldn't work. I'd already done one on Facebook and I'd uploaded the recording. I decided to leave that for the day. I wasn't really in the mood anyway. But hello, everybody. Jackie says, Archaeologistica is so sexy. Oh, yeah, you should see her when she's swimming in the sea. Is it treason? Is it treason? Says, oh, Ben, what's all this about? Oh, is it treason? Well, it's basically, as Jock of Asia says, is this the craft in Brazil last night? Yes. This is about the alleged UFO crash in Magé, Brazil, which happened. It actually happened. We're talking about Tuesday night, Wednesday, when this kind of thing happened. You know, but there's been an update. A lot's happened since last night, since yesterday afternoon when I did my live stream. So basically, what happened on Tuesday? This is, as I said, alleged. Yes, Zythantiop's exactly alleged. This is still in the don't know basket where it was last night. Hello, Paul. Paul Armstrong is there. We got 25 people watching. That's great. We're only going 6 minutes. That's really, really good. And so far, no one's reporting any buffering. So I'm hoping I won't get any buffering tonight. If I do, I don't know what to do. I mean, I might just abandon the whole thing and switch to Facebook. But I'll make my page public so that you can watch it. Gemma, you can do Gemma if you like. I think you can change things. Jackie, have you finished your book, Ben? Well, Jackie, if you mean Roswell Redeemed, yes. All three. The Roswell trilogy is now complete. I'm working on a book called The Obscurati Chronicles now. I've published 2 chapters on Ben's bookcase if you want to check those out. So, but now I've got to write the rest of it, which will take a while. Could take a few months, even a year or so, or longer. BitChute says, it's now or never, people. Bill Gates and that uncountable power that needs to be stopped. Yeah. What I'll do is, I mean, several people are asking me, are you going to talk about Bill Gates? This came up in comments, actually. I don't know if I'll address comments. Comments that were posted on the last video, because I'm doing a comments reply video next. I was going to do a comments reply video this weekend, you know, and then because I'm trying to do them once a month now rather than leaving for 2 months or more, because I don't want, because they just go on for bloody 9 months, or they go on for like 9 hours or 10 hours or something. So I'm thinking of doing one about maybe once a month and having it for 3 hours, something like that. But unfortunately, this came up, and this has taken over. This has taken over, which means I then have to go on to do. I then have to go on and do the videos on this. Now, Jackie's asking me if my book on skeptics. I haven't started it yet, Jackie. I'm sorry. Yeah, I will do it at some point. Yes. Now, who says here? Zythantiop says, come on, Ben, I think you know in your heart of hearts that this story is all a nothing burger. Or we'll come on to that, Zythantiop. We'll come on to that. Bill Gates and vaccines, I'm going to cover in the meantime. Oh, Jackie, thanks, Jackie. I don't know if you've got the Roswell trilogy yet, but you'll like that if you like my work. I think you read one. I think you said you'd read one of them, or two of the books. You can get all 3 books now. But thanks. I'll let you know when my writing. I'll keep you posted with my writing. Now, I'm going the Bill Gates and the vaccines. I'm going to cover. I will. Okay. Oh, Jackie, great. Jackie's got you've got the first Roswell book. That's brilliant. Well, there's 2 more. There's Roswell Revealed and Roswell Redeemed. Charles Scott says, hi, Ben. Steve Mumbling would be comical if he wrote a book on Roswell. Hey, I challenge him. I really do. Now, thank you. I want to thank you for all the comments you've posted on the last video. And I've actually left the live stream notice up because of the problems I've been having and the fact that I wanted to do a YouTube live stream and couldn't yesterday. Hello, it's Diego Rivera. How are you? So I know you posted comments on that. I am going to delete the live stream notice. So if you made any comments on there you want kept, copy them to the part 1 of this series. But a lot of people have posted comments on the part 1. Maybe I will go to some. Maybe I will check them out. Hang on a sec. Because I'm going to do a comments reply video anyway soon. But it's but anyway, the big Scottish Midge says, get a background. I'll repeat these in the comments reply video. Don't worry. Get a background, please. Anything would do. Cheap green screen, a poster, a towel. Jesus, even a pair of pants would make your vids better. Oh, I don't think they would, you know. Man, you're making videos from his bedroom. Sites what you actually provide. Slights what you actually provide. Sites of buckets, beds. Oh, he looks pure shit. Your content's great. So up your game. All right. Well, look. I could make my bed a bit better, I suppose. The bucket, oh, maybe I'd move the bucket. The bucket's just got dirty underpants and things in. So mate, I see what you mean. Yeah, all right then. All right, Edge, I'll work on that. Grace777 says, I like the flooring, Ben. It's got a Masonic Lodge vibe to it. Yeah, it was like that when I moved in. I used to live in a different room. I'm now in this one because the person living here moved out. No extra rent. Lauren Gowns says, good on you for having a lot of common sense when covering this. Thanks very much. I'll try to continue with that. Zaitan Jobs is in chat right now, but says on the last video, you do realize there's been OVNI flaps like this for decades, don't you, Ben? OVNI is the word in Portuguese for UFO. It literally stands, it's just an acronym, stands for UFO. And how is the military covering something up to be defined as disclosure with a capital D? If anything, in theory, it will be the opposite. Yes, technically, but it wouldn't. If the cover-up fails, then it wouldn't be, would it? That's my point. The cover-up might fail. Hugh Jarsol says, shouldn't you be more concerned with Bill Gates rather than UFOs? Hugh, I'm concerned with both. Here we go. Crafty Nihilist, hello. Barbara Whittle, sorry you missed the stream. I hope you can get onto this one, Barbara. Simon Jandrel says, blimey, I managed to find the footage of some very, very strange footage indeed. The firing recon propaganda to maybe big it up more. Saw a huge craft being filmed. Is this the Magé case you're talking about here? Okay. Zythanchop says, Antonio Villas-Boas, he used to play for Arsenal. Maybe he did, or maybe after his UFO experience, he needed to take his mind off it. I don't know. Angela Blue, hello. Wondering if you've seen the flight radar, big balloons, Google Project Loon. You'll find most of them around Ecuador. Other places, you'll find them around Kenya. Oh, Angela, I didn't know about that. No. Project Loon. I know a loon is like a loony, but it's also a... Oh, yeah, connect people everywhere. It's designed to extend connectivity for people without internet access. Right, I see. Okay. Something came out of Google X. Right, you are. Jack Parker says, Donald Trump was in great part referring to disclosure of the Space Force. In other words, more to it than missiles. Yes, I've done an entire live stream on the Space Force. As if there was a new paradigm of science to display. The things he said is like, oh, it's a hell of a video. That was what he said about... he said that about the ATIP footage. Yeah, that's an understatement. He was seeing as much Trump is, he would have been briefed on it already. Jack Parker says, third phase of the moon site just released an excerpt of Donald Trump stating he thought it's time because the way things are, we're going to be showing things that you've never seen, things you could never imagine. Oh, blimey. He mentioned a super duper missile. Supposedly 17 times faster than anything we made as a missile. Its speaking seemed a bit cryptic. It often is, yeah. But thank you for those comments, everyone. I will refer to them again on my comments reply video. Steve Mumbling said something at some point. What did he say? Where was it? He said something about... I wanted to address what Steve Mumbling said. Maybe he's deleted his comment. I don't know. Let's have a look. Where is it? He's deleted his comment. It's gone. Because he had a comment, Steve. He put a comment on there, and I can't find it now. Hang on, not that one. Oh, where is it? He said something about Virginia. Where is it? But he was a load of shit, as always, with Steve. You depend on Steve Mumbling to talk crap. I was just going to see if I can find it, and I can't. What's this? No, it's not. Where is Steve mumbling? Let's see if I can find it in my notifications. He may have deleted the comment, which is a shame. Oh, here we go. Right. Oh, here we are. Here it is. All right. Oh, this is... The Virginia UFO incident is another debunked steaming pile. The Magé UFO on the ground is just a kitchen bowl, or read more. Or colander. Oh, he's referring to the video of the thing on the ground. Yeah, the circular object. I was tempted to say spherical, but I mean, you can only see it. You can't tell from a picture whether it's spherical. It might be a disc embedded in the ground, like the one at Yekaterinburg. It's just more UFO science fiction nonsense. More likely something to do with this. What's this? Oh, it's a YouTube link. Oh, it's a Chinese satellite launch. What's it got to do with... I don't have time to watch that, Steve. Oh, yeah. At 0044, the orbital path is shown precisely over the region of Brazil where the UFO came from. If it's true that the Americans have gone to Brazil to investigate, and I haven't seen any evidence of this, it would be because they have intelligence interest in Chinese space vehicle technology. All right. Or 44, is that right? Well, we'll have a look, Steve. If what you are saying... Let's have a look. Okay, we see this... Oh, yeah, we do see the orbit passes over that area, but... that wasn't what... I don't think that's what... That doesn't just... I mean, I've seen satellites before. I've seen videos of rockets before. I've not seen them anything that resembles some of the videos that were coming out of Magé. But anyway, I shall give you the updates. Just to give a recap, I did a video yesterday where which refers to something that happened on Tuesday night. Now, this began with a large number of videos that were filmed. Now, they weren't all filmed from Magé. This is the important thing. Magé is actually a town in a large municipality, which is part of the Rio de Janeiro state, Brazilian federative state. Brazil is like a federation, and it's like different states, just like the United States or the European Union. And these states have semi-self-governing, and they have municipalities within them, or counties. Magé is the name of that particular county, not just the town. Now, if you go to the map, you'll see quite clearly, if you look at the county of Magé, that Magé is not even the largest settlement within that county. There's another place called Pau Grande, or Pau Grande. I don't know how you pronounce that. Paugrande. That is that's a town or city in the Magé County, which is actually larger than the town of Magé. Another interesting place is you go south and you go through the Guanabara Bay. That's the large inlet in which the large gulf leading off from the Atlantic Ocean, in which you find the city of Rio de Janeiro on the entrance to this gulf. And inside it, there's several large islands which are inhabited, including one called the Governor's Island, which includes the district of Galeo. That was where a lot of this material was actually filmed for. It wasn't actually filmed from the town of Magé. It was actually filmed about 5 or 10 miles away on the island of the Governor. And what happened was on the Tuesday evening, that's what happened then. And now the one mystery is the craft on the ground, the spherical or circular craft on the ground, which appeared in a 13-second clip where you hear a woman's voice sounding very frightened. She's obviously hiding behind a rise in the ground. She's filming over with a mobile phone camera, and her voice sounds frightening. She's speaking Portuguese. I can't understand it. I can't find a copy which actually has captions, but it's pretty clear. You see at least circular, possibly spherical or faceted sphere on the ground, some distance away. I estimate from the size of the trees, it's about 30 feet away. It looks possibly the size of a car or minibus. It depends on how big the trees are. I'm judging these trees are of an average size. Where that video comes from, no one knows. No one's, so far, despite a lot of investigation, some very dedicated people in the local area have been investigating this, including a guy who does paragliding. I'll be talking more about him in a minute. The actual source of this video has not been traced. If it's fake, then it must have been faked very quickly. Literally, it must have been faked literally within a couple of hours, which seems unlikely. There are some fake videos of this going around. The alien with the white sort of KKK cowl, that's fake. That's been revealed as fake. This video so far is mute. It hasn't been debunked. And now what happened was, I assume that video was recorded on Tuesday night. I just have to, if it's real, it was recorded on Tuesday night. By Wednesday, things have actually calmed down by Wednesday morning, and people have reported basically that the lights there was no further objects in the sky. There was an increased presence of helicopters. There was no visible appearance of ground forces that we know of. None at all. No one has honestly got any films of army lorries driving around, things like that, which you get in places like Nottingham, the Nottingham case and things like that. That's not been reported. What has been reported is air activity, lots of helicopters, things like that. Also on Wednesday morning, I believe it's actually Wednesday morning this happened, there was a series of loud explosions. And this is the film I discussed yesterday, and you can actually see smoke rising from the area around where this film was taking place. Now, it's a hilly. What you find is visibility is limited in this area, because if you look at it on the map, you'll see it's actually very hilly. The whole area is surrounded by large hills covered with forest, and the towns are sort of in between. So it's not unlike Holmfirth and the area around there where the UFO Truth Magazine conference takes place. Now, what I found out since what it appears to be the case is that the film of the explosions, that firstly, that a lot of the films of lights in the sky didn't come from the city or town of Magé. They came from the Governor's Island. The explosions actually took place in the explosions near Palo Grande. Now, near Palo Grande is a facility called Imbel, I-M-B-E-L, the Imbel industry, and it's actually ordnance industry. And if you go to its website, it has a very sort of upmarket website that you'll need to translate, and which I did translate. Now it's gone. Hang on, translate to English. I translated to English. Now it's gone back. Hang on. What happened? I translated this page, and now it's not translating. That's weird. That is weird. Oh, I remember what it says anyway. Oh, bloody heck. Why is it not translated? Okay, so I had this page set up, and it's gone. The page is here, but it's in Portuguese again. Isn't that great? Yeah, isn't that great? All right. Well, look, I'll go into what I remember. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Found it. It's all right. I was looking at the wrong browser. I have actually. I've got the actual Imbel, I-M-B-E-L, which is a translate to English. Thank you. If you go on this homepage, it just has a big announcement about the coronavirus, about how all their offices are shut and things like that. Which is interesting that they basically have a different. It says here, in accordance with the measures adopted by the federal, state, district, and municipal governments, Imbel informs that it's adopting a differentiated working regime. This is automatic translation, which is never at its best. That's all it says here, and it says temporarily closed as well, which is another thing, which is obviously has a lot to do with the coronavirus. But basically, this is an military-industrial complex. It's called Imbel. It says here Brazilian military material industry. It's got some animation of soldiers training, weapons being fired, things like that. It has a number of products of various. You see here, you have rifles and carbines, pistols, knives, gunpowders, explosives, temporary shelters, communications, electronics. Now, there's a guy who does paragliding. Now he's been provided a very useful service because he actually flew his paraglider over the inbuilt facility. Now you didn't actually show very much. This was actually yesterday he did this. Sorry, no, I'm getting my time. He did this today. Sorry, he's done this this morning. Brazil is actually this region of Brazil is actually about 4 hours behind British summer time. Let's find out what time it is actually in Brazil right now. Well, there's different time zones in Brazil. There we go. There are 2 time zones. It's the eastern one. Let's have a look. In I'll say Rio de Janeiro. It's 3:30, so it's 4 hours behind us, British summer time. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. He did this morning. He's just uploaded the video. Yesterday he went on his motorbike. It was actually raining yesterday, but he discovered something very interesting. Firstly, he flew over the inbuilt facility, and you could see down below what happened, what the actual entire facility. It's just quite secure. It's not exactly Area 51. No one was going to shoot him down, not least because no one was there. Or they probably may have had something like a skeleton crew on for security. There were apparently security guards at the gates of Inbil, but basically, like everything else, it's in lockdown, like everywhere else. Now, I'll just get rid of that, so there's no more. I'm getting rid of the tab on that browser because I don't want any more confusion. I go back to my other browser. Now, what he said is, he says that the actual film of the explosions, the sounds of the explosions, and the smoke rising from the trees actually took place. That was actually filmed from Pau Grande. Pau Grande is the nearby town to the inbuilt facility, and it means it's likely that this ordnance, this would sound like a detonating ordnance. Actually, it didn't sound like gunfire. It was loud. It was like explosions of. The people described them as being like bombs. There's more videos come out of that. Incidentally, some of them have captions on. I must say, the YouTube's direct translate, the actual auto translate service on YouTube is pretty poor. You can only get so much information from videos if you don't speak Portuguese using that, because I noticed that some of the reading the subtitles sometimes it just came out as gibberish. And the reason for this is probably there's a lot of background noise. The guy had his selfie stick on his paraglider, and he was like hundreds of feet up in the air. Looks like fun, actually, what he was doing, flying along. And there was a lot of background noise, so a lot of the subtitles were just gibberish. There was another woman on a motorbike. Again, it wasn't coming out very well you could tell by the words that were coming out that it wasn't translating properly. Also, apparently the people in that area speak a strange dialect. I'm not an expert on Portuguese dialect, so I don't know anything, but that's just what I've heard. That could have affected it as well. But you did get a bit of information out of it. Now, the guy with the paraglider, you can get him on YouTube. What's his name, actually? I'll just give you a reference for that. The woman with the motorbike is called Conhecimento M Tecnologia, and I'm sorry, I don't. As I said, I don't speak Portuguese. I cannot. Is this here? He is. This is the paraglider. He's called Romulo PQD, ROMULO and PQD, and he's done several videos about this. Now, the one where he's flying over the inbuilt facility, because he believes that it was just actually the explosion was taking place in the inbuilt facility, and that was the source of these explosions. The people were hearing that alarmed so many people in Pau Grande. I mean, everyone was staring up in the sky, staring at that. You could see smoke coming up from the trees. This guy thinks that that's what it was. He thinks that's what caused it. And what's more, if you go to the Inbel website, you have here in the news and notices, Inbel, homage to the 212th anniversary of the creation of Fábrica da Estrela. Now, Fábrica da Estrela means. Now, this is interesting because I'll translate. What did it say? I translated it earlier. I'm just going to do it again. Fábrica da Estrela. Now, Where is it? Where's the translate page gone? Oh, here we are. Let me just translate that again, because it was... Yeah, it was the Factory of Stars. I thought was strange. Yes. Yeah, I thought that was... So the Factory of Stars... I don't know what that has connection to do with Imbel, but the Factory of Stars sounds like something to do with the Space Force. The Fabrica dell'Estrella, 212 years old. Now, what he claims is that these explosions were that. It was basically... The explosions were caused... He doesn't actually say anything about any explosions here, or any plan to set off any fireworks on this particular notice, but it does say they were celebrating the 212th anniversary of the... this was actually... It was funny enough, it wasn't... This was actually on Tuesday, not Wednesday. It was the 15th. Sorry, it was actually on the 12th, not the 13th. The 212th anniversary took place. So if they were celebrating, firstly, they celebrated a day later. And secondly, what's so special about the 212th? Because what I mean, I could understand if it was a centenary, like the 200th, or the 200th, or the 100th, or something like that. But this is the 212th. I don't know why that's special, or maybe unless it's something that happens every year. In which case, why aren't the people in Palo Grande used to it? Why were they so alarmed by it? If on the 212th, if you're going to set off fireworks on the 212th anniversary of the creation of the Factory of Stars, why not set them off every year, like the 213th and the 211th? Because the people were... In which case, the people would be used to it. They'd probably it'd be a regular thing. Besides, there weren't any fireworks. There was just loud bangs that sounded like bombs going off and smoke rising up from the trees in the area of Imbel. It makes little sense that such an event would happen. It seems strange that such an event would happen. I'm just checking. Anyone? No one's reporting buffering. That's good. I'll go back in a little while, and I'll go back in a little while, and I'll check for the comments. Got 35 people watching, which is great. Thank you very much. It also seems odd that such a thing would happen during the lockdown. Why would this party take place during the lockdown? There's no fireworks. There's nothing in the sky. Normally with fireworks, you get some kind of visual. You get like explosions in the sky, which is designed to make pretty patterns to distract the zombies. You know, like like in Land of the Dead. But there's nothing like that. There's just bangs and a cloud of smoke. Also, if this is an ordnance factory, actually setting off explosions in an ordnance factory is very dangerous because it could lead to sympathetic explosions. This is when the detonation of one device causes others to go off as well, and before you know it, you get like a huge explosion, like the one in New York. There was a massive explosion in New York. I think it was during World War One. I think only a handful of people killed because it was in the middle of the night and there was no one around, but it basically blew up an entire ammunition depot. One of the largest non-nuclear explosions in history. I remember that. I can't help thinking that we're looking at a bit of backfilling here. We have an announcement from Imbel that they're paying homage to the 212th anniversary of this creation of the Factory of Stars, whatever that is. And no mention of any explosions or anything like that. As far as we know, this I've only just seen this. I don't know when this notice was put up. It says here that it was put up on the... Oops. The date here is actually the 12th. However, these things can be faked. During a lockdown, actually within the facility itself, just letting off bombs. People in the local area didn't know about it. Seems a bit strange. It seems a bit strange. But anyway, this paragliding guy flew over the facility. He believes that was basically the cause of all the hype. I gathered that from the badly translated auto captions on the video, that he does believe this is the cause of the hype. He said that there's no UFO. What's more, one thing he did do now, what he did on Sunday, what he did on Saturday was very, very good, because he got his motorbike. He went to that place just outside Magé where the big white mark was. Now, I talked about this on yesterday's video. You go to Google Earth. If you go to Google Earth, you will see just outside Magé there is a place. It doesn't have a name. It's just like a spot in the woods. It's like a little area in the woods where there are some houses, and there's a big white flying saucer shaped mark over the top of it. And this has caused no end of speculation that this is some kind of cover up on Google Earth related to the explosion. Now, I said at the time that was unlikely, seeing as this is probably quite an old photo from a satellite, and it was probably just some kind of glitch on the film. And what happened was the paragliding guy got on his motorbike and drove to the location, and he even talked to the guy who lives in the house beneath this big patch, and you could see, he said, "Hey, do you know you're famous? You're on YouTube. You're famous." And you're everywhere. You're all over the place because people think UFOs have crashed here. And he says, "Oh no, nothing. See, he's just an ordinary guy sitting in his house. He comes out of his house, just a young chap." And I think that kind of like, and I mean, things. I agree with him on that. I mean, that was never really very credible, that particular piece of evidence. So. I found there's actually a local, here's the local news. I managed to get that article translated, the local one. Alleged crash in Magé, Rio de Janeiro, intrigues Brazilians, gains memes. The coronavirus is not enough. Some believe that it's possible that the planet is receiving extraterrestrial visits. A video is circulating on social networks such as Twitter that shows an alleged UFO which would have fallen in the city of Magé in Rio de Janeiro. The case became a meme and reached trending topics, but there are no official records from local authorities and the Air Force about any such incident. The images that have been circulated since dawn today, that was on Wednesday, of a video filmed from the Governor's Island. It is possible to see lights shining in the sky with several people following them and reacting to what they saw. And it just gives a little bit of details of what people are saying here. I saw a big object the size of a bus, someone says. Someone said that armed forces personnel was seen at the scene. Again, there's no evidence that there's any ground forces involved in this, as far as I can tell from this. But it is actually noticias.uol.com.br. And that's where you can find this particular article. Now, there is other bits of intriguing evidence that have been posted. Where is it? Where's the? Yep, that is the thing at Magé. Now, it looks like some trees have been broken. There's footage. There are photographs of trees that have been broken. There's some stills of the strange discs. Now, some people, I think it was. Somebody said it's just a saucepan lid. I'm not saying this ain't fake. I mean, it could be fake. It's embedded in the ground. It's very. Judging by the size of the surrounding trees, I would say it's too big to be a saucepan lid. But again, that could be. They could have selected trees that look like bushes. It's hard to say at the moment. It's hard to say. But anyway, I'll go through some of your comments now. That's the update I wanted to share with you. Let's have a look. Darren says, "Are you going to the next probe?" There's not going to be another probe, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. But there was going to be one. It was cancelled because of the lockdown. There is talk about having a reunion of some sort. Gemma says, "Brazil's Roswell." Well, Gemma, it could. Well, you see, if it turns out to be real, then yes. I mean, the title of Brazil Brazil's Roswell, or the Brazilian Roswell, currently is held by the Virginia incident of 1996, and it has a lot more reason to, I think. Jackie says, love the John Deere hat. Yeah, this is a good one. I like this hat. Yeah, I got given this. Zythantiops says, come on, Ben, this is a nothing burger. Well, it could be. I mean, it says there are still weird things. There are still weird elements to this. The paragliding guy is, I think it doesn't quite, his explanation doesn't really make sense. It doesn't quite make sense. However, I don't know what this is actually. I really don't know. Jeremy, hello, Jeremy. Jackie thinks I should write a non-fiction book. I probably will write one about skeptics at some point. I mean, but I want to work on the Obscurati Chronicles at the moment. BitShoot says, look forward to the Gates live stream, Ben. For homework for said live stream, I recommend James Corbett's 3 uploads regarding Gates. A 4th is on the way. Thanks, BitShoot. Are you like are you the BitShoot? Like someone connected to the actual platform? Gemma says, what's going on in the wall over your right shoulder? That is a patch which there was some damp there. I've actually got a dehumidifier in this room to get rid of the damp. That was a problem because there was damp coming through the wall. It seems to be it's sorted now, but it's damaged the paint. Zythantiops, Gemma says, looks like an owl flew into your wall. Oh yeah. Zythantiops, I'll be honest, Ben, I've got a bucket as well. Yeah, you see, the bucket is just like, I don't want to leave my socks and underpants in the norm. I've got a laundry basket down here for other things. But basically, it's the smell. I don't want these things in my room because of the smell. But I can't just take them out. I can't wash them every single time I have some. So I put them in the bucket because it stops them smelling out, making the room smelly. Jackie says, what are your views on Corona and the lockdown? I've done... Probably the best place to go to that is Hapanwo Radio, where I've done some shows. The one I did with Lisa, the last one I did with Lisa Phillips, is a good one. I'm sort of being shot at. I'm on the bridge being shot at from both sides here at the moment, actually, because you see, I think there is a real virus, and a lot of people say there's not. I think there is. I caught it. It's. But it's not the 5G. See, some people are saying it's actually basically 5G is causing this. It's not. David Icke makes a lot of mistakes in his interviews on London Real. But I think 5G may indirectly affect this because of the effect it has on the human body, including the immune system. Jay Matthews. Hello, Jay. How are you? Jay Matthews is a ufologist. Welcome. And Jay says, I've got a contact in Brazil, close to Sao Paulo, and I'm waiting more information on the Magé case. Thanks, Jay. Keep us posted with that, because it seems that there is some proper investigation going on now. There's people in the local area willing to do this, because of course, because of the lockdown, you can't get people traveling there. As I said yesterday, I'm sure if this had been in any other circumstances, Jaime Maussan would be basically dashing to the airport now. He'd be burning rubber, parking his car in the car park at the airport to get to Magé. And of course he can't. But there are very dedicated people in the local area, including the paragliding guy, including the lady with the motorbike, who have provided information. Now, I think the guy with the paraglider like I said, there are some problems with his hypothesis, but it's good there are people looking into this in the local area. Zythantiops says, I need more evidence of a UFO crash, just a photo of some broken trees. Correct, Zythantiops. I know, you're right. And hopefully we'll either get that. This will either flare up or clear out. That's the point I'm making. But I don't think we should dismiss it now, but we shouldn't accept it now. Andrew Slice says, I love you, Ben. Thanks, Andrew. You too. Charles Scott, mumbling as a clown, simples. Jay says, who's the cat in the background? There shouldn't be anyone in the background, I hope. No. Hopefully not, no. Unless it's some kind of Ghost? I don't know. Charles Scott says he's great toilet entertainment. BitChute says, I wasn't impressed with the picture of the downed craft. The red lights display was intriguing. It's again, this is completely anonymous video. We just know that you hear a voice sounding frightened. It's 13 seconds long. There's loads of copies of it in various, but I can't trace the original. I think it was Twitter. I tried. I think the earliest I've seen of this was on Twitter. But of course, it's been circulated onto YouTube and many other places now. Oh yeah. So we've got like a lot more videos here. Oh, it's the white spot is still circulating with it. That's the guy with the motorbike and the paraglider guy. He has explained how that's nothing, and I knew that was nothing. Oh, if this has all been a red herring, then I apologise, but I thought it was worth looking into. I will be doing a comment reply video sometime in the coming week. Zytantiop says, Ben, you need to do the decent thing and have a stream with Steve. Steve mumbling, you mean? Everyone wants it to happen. Mike Tyson is making a comeback, so you should get on with the action and give us a big fight with Steve. I will. The moment Steve mumbling apologizes to Colin Sugrin for what he said, yeah, he must issue a full public unconditional apology for what he said to Colin Sugrin. I don't have a problem with skeptics. I was quite happy to be on a live stream with Blue Earth thing. I don't have a problem with anyone because of their beliefs, but there is such a thing as standards of conduct. And Steve, well, you know what Steve said about Colin? That was out of order. Rillaman says, hi, Ben, it's Simon who messaged you about the David book, Human Race, having coloured illustrations. Breaking news, I've managed to get one off eBay. Hey, well done. I remember you, Simon. Yeah, I think we were talking on Facebook, haven't we? Paul, there's going to be no face. There is the only face-offs you're going to get between me and Steve mumbling until Steve apologises to Colin. I'll do reply videos to him sometime. I'm not doing any more on the moon landings. I've had enough about that. I've done 3, and that's enough. 4, I think, actually. Charles Scott says, Steve mumbling would offer a valueless contribution to the stream. It would be entertaining to expose how much of a clown he is. PMSL. Well, Charles, I think I've already done that, I'm glad to say. BitChute, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to not to fulfill your desire for internet blood sports here. But if Steve knows what he's got to do, you know where Colin Sugrin is, Steve. You do it. It's public. It's got to be unconditional because you were out of order. What you said was disgusting. I do have certain standards, not based on the beliefs of anyone, but based on their conduct. Billy Shears. Hello, Billy. How are you? Are you the same Billy Shears I know on Facebook who runs the Knots Roswell group? Sorry, Paul. It's not happening. Zythantiops. Remember the Oliver's Castle crop circle lights footage, Ben? Created very fast. Yes, I do. Now that's fascinating. And now, if it happened today, I'd put it on the back burner, definitely, at least. But it was 1990. It was the early 90s. This happened. Now you couldn't do that kind of thing back then. I mean, it's amazing, really, how incredibly fast technology advances. And it makes me feel old, actually, because I remember when DVDs were new, and now DVDs are like yesterday's technology. But the Oliver's Castle crop circle footage was analysed by Chris Everard, actually. He did an entire video about it, which is very interesting. You can get it on YouTube now. That also some Michael Glickman did as well. Poor Michael. He's just died, actually, Michael Glickman. Very sad. I'm not going to talk about Matthew Williams and his video now, okay? But Michael, I was very sad that Michael Glickman passed away. He did an analysis on it as well. You couldn't do that kind of thing back then. The kind of effect you see in that video, it wasn't as easy as it would be now. There was supposedly a confession from someone in this National Geographic documentary, which is a complete very one-sided documentary. Yeah. Geographer Ben will be the Conor McGregor league. Oh. Darren, there's not going to be another probe. I'm sorry. There was going to be one more, and that was going to be that was going to be last month, and it never happened because of the lockdown. Oh, Shock of Ages Rocky theme is dun 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 dun. You must be bloody joking. Well, as I say, if Steve, I would happily. I think Steve needs to approach Colin over his conduct towards him, and so it's not completely out of the question. But I'm not going to share a platform with Steve mumbling until that happens. So I don't care if I lose viewers over that, Antiops. He said that he wanted to put Colin Sugar into a wood chipper. Now, I know he doesn't mean it. I know he's just kidding. You know, it's not a serious threat, but it is still a very, very upsetting thing to say. I know Colin was very upset by it. He needs to apologize, quite frankly. He needs to apologize. Shock of Ages, but the blue oblong craft, that was no firework. That wasn't, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Was that the thing with the light, the three lights on it, the 4 lights on it? Is it treason? Says the 3 men were Magi. Just saying. Someone on Facebook actually said that about the etymology of Magé. Now, apparently it's like a local Indian word. Hang on, Magé, Brazil. Let's have a look. Places. Magé, a municipality in Rio de Janeiro. There we go. It was established by Portuguese colonists. Someone said it's from a local native language. However, magic, of course, Magé is where you get the word magic. In English, mage refers to someone with occult powers. I'm glad I don't seem to be buffering, which is great. Proselytizing Orthodox Pentecostal trans rabbit, who has one of the best names of anyone who ever comments on my video, says a saucepan lid attacked some trees. Must have been a pretty big saucepan lid. Oh, has anyone noticed there's a face on Ben's bedstead? That's right. Is that the thing that Jay was talking about? That some people say it looks like Bungle from Rainbow. So Antiops, Ben, how can you write a book on skeptics, but you won't even speak to Steve Mumbling? What's that going to? Why is that a comparison? I've told you why I won't speak to Steve Mumbling. What's that going to do? You know, what's that going to do writing a book on skeptics? I don't not speak to people because they're skeptics. I've got skeptic friends. I'd go to Oxford skeptics in a pub and other skeptics in a pub. You know, I get on well with Chris French. It's got nothing to do with skeptic beliefs that I won't speak to Steve. I say speak to him. I will reply to him, do comments, reply videos, but speak to him live. It's his conduct. Diego Rivera says, "What about the Virginia strip club?" I don't know about any strip club in Virginia. I've never been there. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Zaitantiop says, "Did you see Neil Sanders' interview last week about COVID? He's getting very shill-like in his behaviour." I did. Yeah, I did. I was sort of only half paying attention to it. Was that which that wasn't Rich Planet? No, it was somewhere else. Oh, post a link if you can, because I sort of like put it on in the background. But I mean, is he getting shill-like? I don't know. He has certain ideas. I don't share all his ideas, especially. I mean, he has these ideas about Trump and QAnon, which I think are incorrect. I've done an entire video about that. His book is very good, actually. Your Thoughts Are Not Your Own, the 2 volumes. I've only read volume 1, but it's very good. I do recommend it. Diego Rivera says Richard D. Hall has just made a good film on the Manchester bombings. Yes, it was actually a. It's actually I've not actually seen the online version, but I know it was on a DVD that he made, which I bought. And I think I think it may have been re-edited because it was all part of something else. But I'm keen to watch it, actually, because it's just there's so much which indicates that bombing was not what it appears to be. Like the Boston bombing, there's really overwhelming evidence, like 9/11. There's something dodgy about it. I don't think it was what it appears to be. BitChute says, I think Neil is genuine, if smarmy. I think that's fair to say, BitChute. Yeah. But I don't think he's particularly smarmy. I disagree with some of his points. But I don't think he's actually. I don't think he's a shill. I mean, I don't think he's a shill means deliberately lying to spread disinformation. I don't think he's doing that. Oh, we got someone else with a brilliant name. Awesome Avengers Faithful Cuisine Sidekick. I like trees. It's sad a UFO crashed into some. I know, awesome. I like trees too, and it's a shame they ended their life. In fact, in Kecksburg, the trees that happened in 1965, and the trees, you can still see the damage to the trees where it came down. You can still see where they've been broken. But I mean, I'd say the image, what I see here on this picture, it does look like trees that have been destroyed by an impact. Now, I don't know. There's a big hole in the canopy in the forest, and it looks like an impact attack. It does look like a tree's been hit by an impact. Now, the problem is there's no. It doesn't actually say where this photo was taken. It doesn't say what part of the woods this was in. It's just a photo of a tree which is broken, which apparently was taken in the Magé region. So we need to know exactly where it was, who took it, where they were standing with the camera, where the actual tree, the broken trees are. That's got to come out in order to take this seriously, I think. But in Kecksburg, that's been done. I mean, the place where this strange object came down in Kecksburg, which may have been extraterrestrial, it may well have been like the Nazi bell being tested, because of course, through Operation Paperclip, they got the Nazi scientists, didn't they? They went to the United States, a couple went to Britain, some went to the Soviet Union. America got the lion's share of them, including the people who are working on the anti-gravity drives. Others say it was a satellite. It was some kind of satellite, maybe a Russian one or an American one crashed. Don't know. But something came down in the woods near Kecksburg, Pennsylvania in 1965, because where it crashed, you could see the trees where there's been smashed. Truth is out there somewhere. That's a good name, and I agree. Have you ever thought of doing an evening of evidence at a pub social club? Obviously, once the draconian measures fall to the wayside. Yes, I have. In fact, I've set up something called Dreaming Sources, and I actually, if you want to know any details about it, you can see it in my previous UFO disclosure video. It's a group. It's based on the Dreaming Sources conference that I did. I've kept the name. And I've already got some people who are interested. And as soon as these draconian measures, as you call them, which I agree, that's what they are, fall to the wayside, I will be arranging some actual real-world events. Diego Rivera, the Varginha aliens had 3 horn-like structures. Any ideas about the anatomy of these creatures? I know the Varginha incident, they did, the girls, the 4 girls described, was it 3 girls? They described them as like lumps on the side of the head and the middle. The anatomy now, I've not seen any reports of creatures in Magé at this case. The only actual evidence of something on the ground is what's known, this thing that people derogatorily call the saucepan lid footage, which I don't know. It doesn't look like a saucepan lid to me. There's no handle on it. Where we are. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Steve Palmer says, Ben, the Colin clause is nothing but a cop-out. Wrong, Steve. It's not. Do you think... Why did I not shy away from being on the live stream with Blue Earth thing then? Why did I not shy away from that? Why do I allow Steve to put comments on my videos, which I then reply to? I've made reply videos to Steve mumbling. So how can you accuse me of copying out? Hello, Winslow. How are you? Rabbit says, you were very nasty about Conspiracy Theory Watch, Ben. I think you should apologize. I'll be addressing Conspiracy Theory Watch in my upcoming comments reply video in the next in the next few days or a week or so. I will be addressing Conspiracy Theory Watch. But I won't say any more, except that, again, this was a conduct issue. It was nothing to do with beliefs. I don't know why you think if you think I was being nasty, then perhaps you could listen to what I say in the upcoming comments reply video. Okay. Paul said, "What this mumbling said was so. What did mumbling say? It was so disgusting." Paul, he said he wanted to put Colin Sugram into a wood chipper. I know it's just a joke. All right, I know. And Steve Palmer's just explained here. Yes. And thinks that that's an excuse not to debate mumbling. I'm not scared of debating mumbling. I'm not scared of debate. I'm not scared of talking to people who disagree with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't go to skeptic conferences. I wouldn't interact with people like Blue Earth Thing and others. I interviewed Bowler Hat Man on her Panmo Radio. I interviewed Tristan Swale. What exactly do you think I'm scared of, and why? When have I shown fear before? Diego Ferrer says, Neil Sanders has extremely long fingers. Is he human? It depends. How many joints do they have? I'll have to check when I next see him on that video. And I'll let you know. Maybe he's not. He does look a bit alien, doesn't he? I met him a few times, and I thought, ooh. He has strange looks in his eyes. And I thought, Hugo Rune. Hello, Hugo. How are you, sir? Technology advances. I remember when cassette tapes were new. I had some in the 78s back then. Good blimey, Hugo. You old git. Daniel Bostock. Hello, Dan. How are you? Daniel Bostock, who is, thanks to Dan and Nigel Crowley. That video, I made 3 videos, I think, about the Nottinghamshire Roswell. It's thanks to Dan and to Nigel Crowley that I managed to make those. So Dan's a good guy. Zai Fantiop says, Peter Sorensen exposed the whole Oliver's Castle things. You must be aware of this. I know he tried to. I know there was an attempt to debunk it. I'm not familiar with the name Peter Sorensen, although it rings a kind of bell. What I saw in the National Geographic thing doesn't make sense. Chris Everard did an analysis of that. It doesn't make sense. Bill Bitshoot. Bostock in the house. Well, if Dan would probably if he wants to write a song about this, he can. if you really annoy him, he'll write a song about you. But you have to really annoy him, like Diane Abbott. You have to really, really annoy him. The big Scottish midge, you and bumbling naked mud wrestling subs would go mental. You must be. Oh my goodness me! If you can find a nice-looking lady skeptic, I'll mud wrestle her, but not Steve. I don't think. No. Splendid isolation. Hello, I missed your stream 50 miles ago or minutes ago. Whoa. Well, if you weren't so splendidly isolated, you wouldn't, would you? Rabbit says Colin was upset by that. Does he ever go on the internet? Well, I don't. To be honest, I can't remember exactly what Colin said. I know that this came up at some point in our dealings with the team for Apollo Detectives. This issue was raised because there was talk about having Steve mumbling on as a token Apollo believer before we got Blue Earth thing. And we decided to drop it on that for that reason. Dan says we should revisit the Knots Roswell site and do a more professional job. Yeah, we should. Dan, you're right. I mean, we need to get some people in maybe who know what they're doing with radiation meters and things like that. The whole project was kind of scuppered by the fact that I don't have a base of operations in the area anymore because I split up with Sue Stain. Gemma is asking where Colin is. Gemma, I wonder, are you getting... I don't know if you're actually getting Colin Sugan mixed up with Colin Woolford. Bill Bitshoot said, oh, my goodness me, we should... yeah. I'll be doing an entire video about Bill Gates, I really will. Definitely. It's Daniel the Spaniel. Yes, Rabbit. Yeah, it's great to see Dan again. His music is going from strength to strength. He writes these wonderfully politically incorrect, hilarious tunes. Diego Rivera says, "What do you think about the program Ancient Aliens?" I've only watched it. I'll tell you, I've not watched them all. I've watched about 3 episodes, and I find them very interesting. Daniel says, "I can't get into Ancient Aliens since I watched Ancient Aliens Debunked on YouTube." I saw that too, Dan. It didn't put me off. I mean, to be honest, I didn't actually study it in detail. I must admit, I've got other things to look into, but maybe I'll do that at some point. Rabbit says, "Have you heard about the London Real scam? Is this the thing that Niall Murphy was doing? He had interviewed somebody. That's Mr. Opaque Lens. Through the opaque lens. I like Niall. He's a good guy. I've not actually watched these videos, but I mean, I have spoken to him privately about this matter. I haven't looked into it in detail. Obviously, when something like this comes up, then I think there's so many accusations flying around at the moment. We need some kind of due process, such as I described in my Shield Tribunal videos. Obviously, if he's guilty, then yeah, if he's guilty. Steve Palmer says, "Ben says Sandy Hook was a hoax. I mean, how much more offensive can you get? The Colin worshipper comment is just a cop-out. Maybe we should go boycott Ben's videos until he mans up." Oh, now you're taunting me, Steve. You're white feathering me about not debating Steve, mumbling. When the truth of it, I explain to you why I won't do it. Now, you say Sandy Hook was a hoax. That's offensive, right? Is it? What if this thing about being offensive? Okay, it's just like that is an ad hominem. We've seen that before. It's not, "Oh, you're wrong about 9/11 or Sandy Hook." It's, "How can you be so offensive?" Did you remember my video, Show Some Respect? Like, look, if you saw an old lady getting kicked to death in the streets by 3 guys with brown hair, right, and you went to the police and you said 3 guys with brown hair kicked that old lady to death, is that offensive? What if you go to the police and say, "Actually, it wasn't 3 guys with brown hair, they had blonde hair"? Is that the respectful thing to do? Or better still, just tell the police she died of a heart attack in the middle of the street and no one kicked her to death at all. Let the perpetrators go free. Is that respectful? If you find something offensive that I say, then feel free, but boycott my channel then. You're not obliged to watch it. You're watching it now, aren't you? Where were we now? Diego Vera. Fragments of Comet Atlas will hit Earth soon. I think Comet Atlas is broken apart, but I mean from my space weather reports, they're actually going somewhere else. Thanks, Dan. Dan is sticking up for me here. I don't care if it's offensive. He's a kind man at heart. He's entitled to his opinion. Thanks, Dan. If you're talking about me, thank you very much. It's I think we should be suspicious of the Sandy Hook incident, very much so. I recommend Sophia Smallstorm's video about that is particularly well researched. If we've been lied to about that, I don't care if people think it's offensive, because then all you have to do is label. Dan knows this more than anyone, because Dan has been on the receiving end of this. All you have to do is put the word offensive on any opinion, and you can shut it down. You end up like Count Dankula in court. This is how free speech is being stifled at the moment, on all kinds of subjects. It's not just Sandy Hook; it's other things. There's no such thing as, in a sense, an offensive opinions. Opinions are either correct or they're incorrect. If they're incorrect, their incorrectness can be exposed by free speech and debate. Splendid Isolation said, "Richard Hall said the bombing didn't take place, but I know it did. My ex-girlfriend knew one of the parents who was left of her." Yeah. Splendid Isolation. Someone else said this, right? Someone else contacted me saying that they know some of the victims. And I said to her, then contact Richard, and tell him. And this person didn't report back to me. So I ask you, I mean, if Richard doesn't reply to you, then let me know. But contact him. Contact him and tell him. Because you're the second person now who's come to me and said, the bombing did take place. I know the parents of one of the victims. The second person who said that now. Oh, Dan says, I don't know when the next song is. I haven't thought about it. Okay, well, a great artist must be allowed to create in his own time. And I flick to the bottom again. 58 people watching now. That's cool. Rabbit says, I do think Ben is being a bit of a chicken, but perhaps Steve should call his bluff and apologise. If he does, Rabbit, you'll see how much of a chicken I am. Dan, you're thinking of doing a Beach Boys song. That's good. Oh, fucking hell. Liberace's just started. Sorry. At least he's not singing. You know, he's taken up singing as well. Sorry about that, guys. Jock and Steve say something to each other. Paul says, I wish they could all be Antifa girls. Dan, there's your title, mate. There's your title. There's your chorus line. How's it going? Green-haired girls, da-na-na-na-na, and their rings through their noses or something like that. Yeah, I'll let you write the lyrics, mate. You're the expert at that. Zoe Antiop says, I have read Richard D. Hall's book on the bombing. It is not a good book. He's clutching at straws. Okay, well, in that case, South Antiops explain why he's wrong. Simple as that. Steve says, how so when mumbling is up for debate? Ben is making excuses. Oh, I'm not going to. And Paul says, mumbling fears no man nor debate. Neither do I, Paul. It's not an excuse. You'll know if Steve does that. Scythe Antiops, I've read all three of Neil Sanders' books. His COVID interview was extremely disingenuous. Where was this, Scythe Antiops? Can you post a link? I mean, or just contact me on, email me or something with it if you like. I'll find it probably, but I did have it in the background, but I can't find it in my. I don't know. I'll probably find it in my history at some point. I just have too much on. Michael Snow, hello, Michael. Good points in the new Rich Planet Doc, but it does come off as far-fetched. I will check. Oh, you mean the one about Manchester bombing? I've seen because it was on the DVD that I bought off from his stall. I think it's pretty persuasive. I mean, if there's a flaw in it, we can explore that. Just like I said to Splendid Isolation, if he's gone wrong somewhere, there's ways of getting that out. Rabbit says, I'm lolling every time Ben says about the wood chipper. Scythe Antiops. Splendid. Splendid. I believe you, but if you emailed and spoke to Richard D. Hall, he would do a statement analysis, which is his latest obsession, and conclude that you were trying to deceive him. Yes, it does seem to be. As I said in my last Shield, I covered this in the last Shield Squad video. I did an article about it too, about the Rendlesham Forest thing, where he got old Peter Hyatt to do his magic, and nothing else. That was all. That was it. Richard D. Hall solving the Rendlesham Forest incident once and for all by bringing in Peter Hyatt. And oh my goodness me, did he really think that would be the end of the matter? Honestly, did he really think that? Michael Green says, I could hear the rustle of tinfoil hats. Spotted UFOs, ghosts, and cryptids. I enjoyed the Knots Roswell video. Thanks, Spotted. You know, I think if I did it now, I'd make it a better video technically, because I think it was both of them were a bit rough technically, and I regret that. Which is another reason why I'd like to go back there with Dan and perhaps do another one or do an update. It's again, I think my skills as a filmmaker have improved since I did that video. I'm sure maybe some of you might disagree, but I don't. I think I have improved on the technical side of things. Zythantiop says maybe Sanders isn't a shill, but he's a wannabe who wants to be a somebody and make money name for himself. Does he really, really, really want to be a zig? No, I'm Neil Sanders. His book, honestly, that book is good. The first volume. I've not read the second volume. I should, even though it's a good book. I didn't read the second volume. But where's the interview with Steve mumbling? Anyway, I'll find it. Hang on, I'll find it because I was bloody looking at it the other day. It's not Steve mumbling. Neil Sanders. I shouldn't get those two mixed up, should I? Neil Sanders. I shouldn't get those two mixed up. No, it's nothing. I can't find it. Oh, it'll turn. Zythantiop, could you send us a link? I think it's because you disagree with him on something. To say, oh, well, he's a wannabe, wants to make money. That's a kind of. That's just. I think that's a bit of a slur. That's what the skeptics call us. That's what I call in my analysis of skeptics a slur. I disagree with people on a lot of things, but I don't. I assume I give them the benefit of a doubt in terms of their personal motivations, especially when there's no evidence they have any personal motivations other than simply thinking something that I don't. I just kind of I try to just concentrate, play the ball, not the man, kind of thing. That's my policy. Steve Palmer says, "What happened to Ben's views on free speech and banning people? I guess that only applies when it suits him." Really? Who really have I banned Steve mumbling? Have I? Who have I banned because I don't like their opinions? If you mean Conspiracy Theory Watch, I'll be addressing. It's got nothing to do with their opinions. I was actually following them on Twitter before I blocked them, and I will be explaining exactly why in the comments reply videos, because they did put a comment on YouTube. I haven't blocked them on YouTube actually. So Steve, come up with some evidence, please, to back up your accusation. Because I want to know why you think that I'm against free speech when it suits me. Who have I banned for expressing opinions? Not because of a personal reason or because of their conduct, for expressing opinions. I haven't even banned Steve mumbling, even though I've got a lot of problems with him on a personal level. I haven't banned him. Diego Vera, I haven't actually banned Conspiracy Theory Watch from YouTube either. I've only done it on Twitter. That's because it was on Twitter that this particular issue between us came about. Diego Rivera says Richard D. Hall's latest DVD is 200 hours long. Oh my goodness me. That'll keep me quiet for the weekend, won't it? I've actually got his latest DVD. I've got most of them. I haven't got this one. BitChute says, Ben, what do you think of Trump's eagerness to implement mass vaccination via the military? Oh, I don't think he's not as bad as some people. I mean, he's not. It's actually this guy from Oklahoma who's been the worst. I'm waiting to see what Trump actually does when the pressure comes on, when the vaccine is released. They reckon it'll be out within a year. I'm interested to see his response to that. I really am, about whether he will, because the swamp, you see, whether he's trying to drain the swamp, but of course the swamp is bigger and more rancid than he ever imagined. So whether he will drain the swamp or whether he'll drown in the swamp, I don't know. I want to look on the bright side and think he will get over it. He'll get over them. So Thantiop says, I think Colin Andrews exposed the Oliver's Castle thing as well. I would take his word over Chris Everard's any day of the week. So Thantiop, I mean, I haven't seen, maybe you've seen some updates on that situation. I haven't. I'm going with the National Geographic and Michael Glickman and Chris Everard's research into that. I think it was pretty persuasive because this was, I think it was 1994. And Waby or Wadey or whatever his name is, he turned up in the pub where he first published it in a pub on the viewfinder of his camera, literally 6 hours after this supposedly happened. Now, it's pretty difficult to go to, because he'd have to get a shot of the completed crop circle, wouldn't he? So he couldn't have done it any earlier because the crop circle only appeared that morning. He'd have had to go into his studio, do the special effects, come back, and then into the pub and go to the barge and then show it off. Spotted says, get Gary Jones to go on the new Knots Roswell as well. Oh, he would. I'm sure he would love it. Yeah. I had a discussion with Gary. Gary, because I met Gary when I did the talk about the Knots Roswell in Swansea. Scythanchop says Richard D. Hall probably spends 200 hours reading his own long emails to people who don't respond to him. He does. You won't get a reply from him. I haven't written to him for years actually, because he doesn't know. He doesn't unless it's important. I mean, he must get an awful lot of correspondence. I mean, I try to respond to people, but I mean, he must get more than I do. He must do. Ravenhill, the Crossbow Sword Merchant, 1968. That's another good name there. Says, Ben, do you think Britain is changing for the worse due to mass immigration? I'd be interested in your thoughts. I'm worried about it, to be honest. I think it is changing for the worst, and it's actually. I mean, what was it? You get people always go back to Enoch Powell and they say, where he says we must be mad, literally mad. It's not madness. It is a very deliberate, calculated attack, basically, on not just ourselves, not just our country, but the entire world. I have covered this in other videos, Ravenhill. It's something that's been, as I say, it's not been allowed to happen. I mean, very often when, say, the alt-right, when they discuss immigration, they say, isn't it frustrating the government are allowing mass immigration to take place, and that the active role is being played by the immigrants themselves, or this global Islamic conspiracy, or whatever it is, and the government are just too lily-livered by liberalism to do anything to stop them. The truth is very different. The government are playing an active role here. The immigrants are basically being manipulated. They're as much actually targeted, in a sense, they're as much victims as we are in this, because they're being used just like we are, the people of Britain. The solution, I mean, first of all, there's no point getting angry with the immigrants. I mean, I don't. I live with 2 immigrants. There's no point getting angry with them. We've got to expose what's actually happening. The whole thing's got to actually be exposed. And so that is, in a nutshell, my opinion on mass immigration. I've covered it in more detail in other videos. Ray Whelan, hello. Look into Rose's business practices. Is that Brian Rose, the London Real? Well, I know there's accusations going on around about him. I know that Opaque Lens has covered this in detail. I believe that there has, because Brian Rose now is essentially a part of the truth movement because of his stance on David Icke, then I think he's entitled to a due process with basically my tribunal, because otherwise what we have is essentially ordeal by hashtag. I think the truth movement's entitled to more than medieval justice. And we have here Rabbit saying Brian Rose of London Real is scamming his donors, Ben, setting up digital freedom platform or some shit that is actually just Daily Motion, lol. Again, has anyone called the police? It's this we went through this with me. You see, I've been on the receiving end of this sort of thing. What is it people said about? Well, look at what people have said about me. I've been judged on the word of another, without any due process at all, without anyone even listening to my defense. I hear accusations like this every day about all kinds of people. Some people have a particular tendency to do this, including some people we've been discussing in this particular comments thread. But the answer has to be some kind of due process, because otherwise we descend into kind of shill dystopia where everyone's a shill except me and things like that. I'm not going to judge a man on an accusation. As I said this to Niles, is he guilty? We need some kind of due process. Nothing as it seems. Hi, Nothing. How are you? After watching Fargo, I fear wood chippers for my kittens. Clopite, hello, Mr. Dragon Juice. Oh yes, I have it here. Clopite. Rabbit says, so can we get this straight? Ben is offended on behalf of this Colin guy. Correct, Rabbit. It's a person. Yeah, I'm entitled to feel offended by what other people say. I don't believe this entitles me to carry out any kind of action against them. I mean, if I was offended in the way you're supposed to be offended today, I'd be on the police. I'd be on the police and saying, firstly, I'd be blocking Steve Mumbling from commenting on my videos, and I wouldn't be making reply videos to him. Secondly, I'd be calling the police and getting him prosecuted under the 2013 Communications Act, like Count Dankula was, and things like that, or the Australian equivalent of that. I'm sure there is an Australian equivalent of that, but I'm not doing that. Okay, being offended is a subjective thing for me. However, I have the right, whether or not to appear with someone who, in that case, I'm offended because I've done a video with Colin. He's a good guy. Colin has been attacked in this way, and I feel a sense of loyalty towards my fellow Apollo detectives. So Antioch says, yeah, that Brian Rose bloke is a grifter. Well, I've heard that, Antioch, but again, are we going to go by what people hear? Because if you believe that, you're going to believe that I'm supporting a fraud. Because if you believe that, you can hear all that Ben Emlyn Jones is this, that, and the other. Let's look at it. I'm enabling paedophiles. I am what is it? I'm supporting a fraud who's defrauding the UFO community. I've other things I won't even say because it's so appalling. I had to call the police at one point because over the issue of defamation of character. Right? If you are going to believe something about somebody based on an accusation, then why not believe what you've heard about me? Brian Rose is entitled to due process. My Shield Tribunal is a way of breaking this deadlock and lifting us out of the Middle Ages, lifting the truth movement into civilization. Diego Rivera says, what is the relationship between AI and aliens? Are they connected? I don't know. Cover Up Exposed. Hello, Cover Up Exposed. Hi, Ben. See the YouTube video, and there's something here in Portuguese. Oh, he's a translation. I went to the suspicious spot on the Google UFO case, Magé. He seems to confirm the alleged UFO is the roof of a house. Is that the paragliding? The guy on the motorbike? Cover Up Exposed. The guy with the paraglider. What's his name? What's the name of the channel? Oh, what's it? I had it here a minute ago. This is Romulo PQD, because I've seen that video. Yes, I've actually seen the video. It was something he uploaded on Saturday, and I've watched it. Yes, I have. He actually went to the place. Yep, I have. I can scroll down again. Rabbit says, so basically Ben is shutting down the debate because he's offended on someone else's behalf. Correct. People nowadays are always too quick to take offense. Okay, well, do you think I don't care. Like, I don't care. I'm not asking for your approval, Rabbit. I'm explaining to you why it is. If Steve wants to call my bluff, he can do it and see whether I'm bluffing or not. Taff Derek Bake. Hello, Taff. How are you? Shemai, bro. Shemai bach. Da iawn. Dim da iawn. Noswaith da. That's my fellow Taffy there, Taff Derek Baker. He's got some interesting photos of the moon you might want to look at. Steve Palmer says, Ben, you have banned mumbling from any debate. Not any debate. I've tackled his videos in my videos. I've allowed him to comment on my videos, and I replied to his comments. I have just said I'm not going to debate him in the format you want. Rabbit says, there are a lot of scam artists that successfully target conspiracy theorists. I know. But I think that the skeptic point, and not just the skeptic, there's also the kind of Fortean, I'm cleverer than you are kind of person within the conspiracy sphere or the ufological world, is that the whole thing is just that. Everything is just that. And that's unfair. It's just everything's a scam. Everything's about targeting conspiracy theorists. The Alien Autopsy film was just about making money. This, that, and the other. David Icke is just making money, even though he gave up a career in TV journalism, but he's still just making money. Splendid Isolation says, Ben is a fair chap from what I've seen, far more than many, and he's a very likable guy too. Thank you, Splendid. Much appreciated. Rabbit says, are you evil twin? Are you his evil twin, or is he your evil twin? Taff says, get a life, Steve Palmer. Thanks, Taff. Get a fucking life, actually. He says, get a fucking life. Jock of Ages, no way will there be a vaccine this year. It takes at least a decade to make one. A vaccine made in 1 year is more dangerous than any other vaccine. Unless, Jock, it was made 10 years ago, and they've been waiting for an opportunity to use it. Remember, there's distinct evidence, I think, that, as I said on previous videos, the coronavirus came from the Wuhan laboratory. It was a biological weapon, or one in progress. I believe it escaped accidentally. I don't think it was a deliberate attack. But I think that possibly the vaccine has already been developed, put it that way. And Rabbit says, here's something I just noticed. You never see Ben and Steve mumbling in the same room together. There's two possibilities here, Steve. Either we are the same person. I'm putting on a wig and a false beard when I make his videos. I'm putting on a silly accent. All right, that's one possibility. The other is that you don't see us in the same room together because we live on opposite sides of the world. Weigh it up, Rabbit, which is more likely? Charles Scott said, hi, Charles, how are you? Richard Hall and Andrew Johnson offer a valuable contribution to what's really going on this earth. I wouldn't like to say how reliable statement analysis is, nor am I saying they was correct. I agree with you on the first part. Richard D. Hall, Andrew Johnson, they do offer a valuable contribution. As for the statement analysis, I'm sure it's all very interesting. I mean, Peter Hyatt's testimony is always very interesting. The problem with what Richard is doing is he's relying on that 100% in this particular case. Now, with the Madeleine McCann case, he used Steve Hyatt's evidence along with lots of other evidence. But in the case of Rendlesham Forest, he used Steve Hyatt's evidence and nothing else. So, in a sense, it's rather like trying to solve a bank robbery by, if rather than chasing the guys in the car with their stockings over their head, you pull over some lady with a Zimmer frame walking past, give her the Peter Hyatt test, and see if she passes. If she fails, you prosecute her for robbing the bank. It's what's ironic, as I said in the video, is that Richard did not consult with any of the principal researchers into this case. That's basically me and Gary Heseltine. And he knows, he didn't have to write anonymous, write formal letters to us, as strangers, because he already knows us. But he didn't consult us. He's not obliged to do that, of course. But if he had done, it would have been a much better video, probably. His program would have been a lot better. And it begs the question, why not, Richard? Why didn't you? Zythantiop says, what about the guy who did the Oliver's Castle must have done what was exactly what he did do. He worked in a film studio. He edited the footage and went to the barge with it. It was a hoax. Well, Zythantiop, from what I've seen, it wasn't. Now, I've not seen Colin Andrews' work on that. I've not seen the other things you say. If I'll have a look at that, and if it is, then if it turns out that it was fake, then fair enough. The only research I've done is that done by Michael Glickman and Chris Everard, and I know that, of course, they are coming from our side of the debate. However, I have also watched the National Geographic documentary on this, which came from the other side of the debate. So I'm always interested in new information. Rabbit says, but the truth movement is all about mob justice. It does seem to be, doesn't it, Rabbit? It does seem to be, and that's got to stop. Because I've been on the receiving end of this mob justice, and I've had enough of it. I want some kind of due process involved here. And I'm not going to... When the moment all this stuff came out about Brian Rose, that was the first thing I said. I don't want Brian Rose to be subjected to what I was. Steve Palmer says, I have a couple of funny replies to your question, Rabbit. However, knowing Ben's sensitive nature and his willingness to silence people on others' behalf, I won't post them. Stop being such a drama queen, Steve. I've not silenced anyone. I've just stated what I would feel comfortable. I was talking about a program I would feel comfortable being on. So stop straw manning me. Stop marginalizing me. You could be more honest than that. Where are we now? Rabbit says, be that as it may, Ben, it's pretty clear Brian Rose is a scam artist. Well, Rabbit, Would you be willing to act as prosecutor in a tribunal? If you're so sure, say yes. Because I'll set one up. Let's make this a test case. If enough people are like, obviously it'll need a lot of people to be involved, but I'm happy to make it a test case. Also, have you called the police? This is the question I always ask. When the people I've asked this of other people, the people who've been accusing me, this question has been asked them. Have you called the police? And they say, I'm going to call them tomorrow, or something like that, or the police won't do anything about it. It's like, well, how do you know? What do you mean? I mean, one of the people who've been accused, right? Someone I know who's been accused. He's been accused of defrauding more than £800,000 by trading fake antiques, fake rock and roll memorabilia. And when this person was challenged on this and says, well, don't you think you should call the police? They said, there's no point. The police won't act on something like this. Now, you want a cop-out, Rabbit? That is a cop-out. Someone who has committed that kind of crime would be a priority case for the police. Zythantiop says, Ben, I can't disprove Richard D. Hall's book in a chat room, but it's about 300 pages of statement analysis. Draw your own conclusions. But it'll cost you £25 to read the rubbish. Well, if I ever need something to get me through the lockdown, I've got the money spare, maybe I'll pick it up. I don't want to read something that is just statement analysis. This is why I don't want to see a documentary by Richard, which is Peter Hyatt and nothing else. I want to see other evidence brought to bear. Now, Richard brings other evidence to bear, such as his analysis of of Jim Penniston's testimony. But in the same sense, it's still very thin on the ground. It's still very thin. It's still very one-dimensional. He can do better than that. He has done better than that. Steve Palmer says, Ben thinks everyone who's a scammer gets police attention and goes to prison. Well, I think you do. If the accusations being made are true, they would. I mean, this isn't a petty crime you're talking about here. This is a major act of fraud you're accusing this person of. Diego Rivera, Ben, is there any new sightings of the English Bigfoot? He must love the lockdown less. I'll check. I am actually back on Deborah Hatswell's group. I will check it out. Less people around. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if sheep are invading Welsh villages, some people say they do that anyway, but I'm sure that old Footy is equally pleased. Nothing says Utah, Idaho, and now Nevada subjected to substantial shaking. What's that? Nothing. Is that an earthquake? Steve says, "Oh, Ben, it's okay for you to find things offensive, but not other people. You've made it very clear in the stream." I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. I've not commented on anyone else's subjective experiences. You feel offended by what I say, if you like, and refuse to be on a live stream with me. It doesn't mean if you do that, if you refuse to live debate me because you're offended by something I say, that doesn't mean you are suppressing my rights to free speech. It doesn't. You're confusing the two issues, and you're doing it deliberately, I think, because you're trying to be provocative, and it's not going to work. Warbabe in 1951 says hello. Hi, Warbabe. Welcome. Diego Vera, will the English Bigfoot be interviewed on London Real? I'm sure YouTube will take that video down. If Bigfoot starts talking about the things David Icke was talking about, then yes. Rabbit says, yeah, because if we believe that Brian Rose was a scammer, then why not believe Bill Gates is a shape-shifting lizard? Wait, what? Oh, well, I don't know if Bill Gates is a shape-shifting lizard, but I know he's working for them, if that's the case. But like I said, if you believe Brian Rose is a scammer, be a prosecutor at a tribunal. First, call the police. Second, be a prosecutor. Diego, where are we now? Diego Rivera says, Richard D. Hall will do a statement analysis from the English Bigfoot. All right. I wonder what Peter Hyatt will make of that, because the Bigfoot will go, and Peter Hyatt will say, yes, interesting the way he uses the passive voice on that particular verb, the one. Rabbit says, David Icke didn't walk from his TV job. His services were no longer required. Honestly, Rabbit, do you really come off it, mate? You're not. you're not that naive. You know very well Jeremy Clarkson is presenting Who Wants to Be a Millionaire after he was kicked out of the BBC for much more serious reasons than David Icke was. Come off it. It was a choice David made to end his TV career. He was looking to become a millionaire because he would have been a multi-millionaire by now. Yet he chose to start putting chairs out in Devizes Town Hall because he wanted to make money. Can you see how ridiculous this is? BitChute says, the people demand a shill tribunal. That's the spirit, BitChute. Yeah. Put up or shut up. Rabbit, come on. Be the prosecutor. Diego Rivera says, Bigfoot's hair could be used to make wigs. If you find enough of it, once it's been DNA tested, yeah. Oh, I've gone back to the bottom now. But Charles Scott, if Bill Gates makes money from this virus and he's greedy and evil. Well, I've done an article on her Panway Voice called The Coronavirus Industry. Yeah. Steve Palm says, sarcasm. Ben, I'm really offended by being sworn at. What are you going to do about it other than laugh? Close sarcasm tags. Okay. If you're offended, then it's very simple. You can stop watching this video. You can block me. You can refuse to do this or that with me. It's entirely up to you. I'm not. What you do with feeling offended is up to you, just like it is with me. Rabbit says, when is your next 10-hour reply video out? It's not going to. Firstly, Rabbit, it's not going to be 10 hours. It's going to be less than that because it's only a month since the last one. It's going to be sometime next week. I hope to do it sometime next week. I can't do it tomorrow because, make notes, I'm doing a webinar a live webinar. It'll be on Zoom, so check that out, for East Anglia UFO Truth. Go to their website. It's completely free, so I'll be doing that tomorrow. On Tuesday, I'm doing something else. I'm actually interviewing someone on Tuesday. There we go. So probably from Wednesday, I might be able to do some of it on Tuesday. Good on Wednesday. It'll probably be out. Probably Wednesday, Thursday, sometime that time. It won't be 10 hours. It'll be about 3 hours. Diego Rivera says Andrew Johnson is the soul of the party. Well, he's an interesting guy actually. Too. He's an interesting guy. I've actually socialized with him, and he is very interesting. He's like me in a way because he's an obsessive, just like I am, with the things that we do. I mean, I think this is literally all he does. This is all I do. I don't follow a football team. I don't go to the pub, even when the pubs are open very often. I just go to work, come home, and do this. Charles says, I'd feel happier if more statement analysis was used to formulate a conclusion. More than statement analysis. Yes, quite so, Charles. That's with the Madeleine McCann videos. Those are classics. The Madeleine McCann videos that Richard made, and his investigation into that. Those are absolute gems. I think they could prove to be definitive. Rabbit says David Icke likes to. Oh, God. Rabbit, we've been through that about David Icke leaving his TV career, and you're wrong, completely wrong. Jock of Ages says you're right about the Wuhan Biolab doing something called gain of function research. I agree, it came from there too. GOF research should be banned. It does. It's really, people are blaming this market with the bats and the baby mice in it. That's rubbish. That's absolute rubbish. I mean, I can't say about Chinese culinary tastes. I can't say I share those, but it's got nothing to do with that. It came from that laboratory. It must have escaped accidentally, because if it had been deliberate, then it would have appeared in multiple places around the earth. They would have deliberately affected certain areas in certain places. Charles Scott says BitChute seems too much of a coincidence. Gates funding conferences preparing for the pandemic just before the coronavirus. Just a coincidence, nothing to worry about, Charles, as David Icke himself would say. Bill Gates it's hard to believe that Bill Gates actually began his career in electronics. What's he talk about now? Biotechnology, climate change. He's become basically the Henry Kissinger of today, isn't he? A young Henry Kissinger, or younger. Jeremy, hello, Jeremy. How are you? Yeah. I'm not going to read that out, Jeremy, but I understand. I understand your sentiments. Steve, nothing to you with no being on a program, Ben. You won't debate mumbling because of a joke you made about someone else. Correct. Now, do you want to? You're going to keep on about this, Steve? I've given you my answer. Okay. BitChute's reply to Charles. Rabbit says, well, it really depends on where Brian Rose lives, but I'm guessing he could be prosecuted. He's clearly a scam artist. Okay, well, Brian lives in London. I know he speaks with an American accent. He comes from New York City, but he lives in London. You can phone the police anytime and report him. And no one's doing that. No one's doing that. They'd rather just make YouTube videos about him. They don't they don't want to subject this to due process when it should be subjected to due process. Rabbit says, I think Bill Gates is a wonderful man, to be honest. Oh, right. Really? Taff is saying, block him, mate. No, I'm not going to block him, Taff, just simply because he's too amusing. I'm having too much fun with him. Diego Rivera, has the English Bigfoot ever attended a fancy dress party? Well, if they did, Diego Rivera, it was a very, very good costume. Zythantiop says, Ben, this is the first I have heard of the English Bigfoot. Can you fill us in, please? Oh, God. Oh, I recommend Deborah Hatswell and what she's discovered. Also, check out my British Bigfoot video. Check out Deborah, my interviews with Deborah on her Panlo radio. Okay. Rabbit says, I wonder if Brian Rose has ever been prosecuted for fraud. If he's given a fair trial and it's through due process and he's found guilty, I will be 100% all those behind all of you who are saying what a bad guy he is. But I'm not going to condemn a man because people say he's a bad guy, because I've been condemned because people say I'm a bad guy. And I know that look at Miles Johnson. Look at what he has been accused of. He's been accused of the worst crime probably it's possible to commit in our country. Yet no one has called the police. Miles has not been prosecuted. I've not been prosecuted as an accessory because apparently I'm an enabler, an accessory to his crime. Yet people have, I've suddenly really see people unfriending me on Facebook. I see people bolting for the door the moment they realised I was. Firstly, the things were said about me, and then that I was not backing down and I was standing up for Miles. That the people were dashed. It was like I just taken a stick of dynamite out of my pocket. Some people. So I'm not. You perhaps you'll excuse me if I hesitate for a moment when you say these sorts of things. I could cover up exposed. No worries. I know I'm a bit behind with the comments. I'll be going for an hour. I'll be going for nearly 2 hours, so I might knock it on the head in a few minutes. But I just want to go through these other comments. Rabbit says, if Ike was kicked from his job, then that shows he's a liar. I mean, he lies about a lot of things, Ben. Well, who actually gets kicked permanently? Hang on, someone said here. So I'll come back to your comment, Diego Rivera. Rabbit says, now, who's permanently gets sacked from the media? If you're famous and you have a media presence, if you get kicked out of a particular position, someone else will take you on simply for that, for your fame value. Oh, if that's not true, then how come Jeremy Clarkson is presenting programs on independent TV now? He's been kicked off the BBC because apparently he was kicked off the BBC for, well, I mean, people were saying some horrible things about what he did, which includes violence. I mean, it's like, So, I mean, I don't see what your point. I don't see why you think that David Icke would somehow be different. He chose to stop what he was doing. He describes, if you read In the Light of Experience and some of his other books, he explains exactly why and what happened to him and why. BitChute says, Ben will not be silenced. Quite so, BitChute, just like your platform won't be. Charles Scott says, Andrew Johnson is one of the most credible researchers. I have to agree. He certainly is. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes. But he is, definitely. Diego Rivera says here, what is your phony bone of contention, Ben? Oh, Do you mean what I think is a phony bone of contention? What's an idea? What's an example of a phony bone of contention? Oh, I write about it all the time, and there must be some kind of example I can come up with off the top of my head. There are lots of phony bones of contention used in the media to take people away from the real issues. Loads and loads of them. And probably a good one is probably a good example. We brought up Andrew Johnson just now. The best phony bone of contention is probably his speciality. It is the fact that there's all kinds of debates over whether thermite was used to bring down the Twin Towers, or whether it was some kind of explosive, stuff like that. When the truth of the matter is, of course, people are going to see that and they're going to get confused, and they'll think to themselves, well, maybe the official story was true after all. That's the point. But the truth that what actually happened to the Twin Towers was nothing to do with thermite or explosives at all. It was a directed energy weapon, as Dr. Judy Wood has discovered. Rabbit says, sorry, Ben, but you're wrong about David Icke. I don't think I'm wrong, Rabbit, and I've explained why. Steve says, Ben, you missed my comment about Blue Earth thing. Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry, Steve. I'm going through these comments as much as I was. The thing is, he wasn't a good choice. Too many holes in his knowledge. Plus, it was what, 5 against 1? No, it was 7 against 1, Steve. I think he was a good choice because I think he did have knowledge. I mean, if you think otherwise, I mean, he's got his channel. I've been watching some of his videos. He seems to have studied the subject in detail. He's come out with some interesting riposts to our position. He's also a polite guy. He's good. He's a good sport. And he did a good job. I mean, considering it was 7 against 1, people treated him with respect. He was respectful. It got heated at times, didn't it? I mean, I knew that would happen. I was kind of moderating it, and it got heated. Certainly got heated at times. But generally speaking, it was a very well conducted debate. I think that makes it an extreme rarity and a curiosity almost within this whole issue. So I think it will turn out to be a classic video in the whole Apollo hoax lore. Steve says, how come you can be offended on Collins's behalf but not mine? I don't think don't know you as well, Steve. Also, I'll think about what you said. I'll have to think about what you said, Steve, there. All right, I'll think about what you said. Rabbit says, do you think David Icke is a narcissist then, Ben? No, I don't. Zythantiop says, breaking news, Brazilian UFO was piloted by someone in an English Bigfoot suit. When the police removed the head of the pilot, it was Andrew. They removed the head of the costume. The pilot was Andrew Johnson, who stated, I speak no Portuguese, I give no statement. Sorry, I can just envision it now. Jock of Ages says, your trolls are super motivated, mate. So much attention. Well, you know, there are certain people, Jock, I will block. And there's certain people on my block list because of their conduct. I have got rid of them. But, you know, I do have quite a thick skin. Thicker than I think most of you do. And it's because, well, I've had quite an awful lot about this, yeah. Quite a lot of aggravation. Rabbit says, okay, so are you saying Icke was kicked from his job, Ben? No, I'm saying that to quote him from his book, he says he sacked himself. That's how he describes it. Rabbit says, but don't you think Icke has an interest in painting himself as a hero, making out that he walked away from money and fame to search out the truth, lol? It depends if it's true, Rabbit. If it's false, then that's bad, but I don't think it's false. Brian Rose claims the same. Oh, really? Well, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true. BitChute, you're off. Good night, BitChute. Taff says, man, you have admirable patience. Taff, I really have actually. I've had so much worse. I mean, things I wouldn't repeat. And because I've been doing this for so long, I've kind of got quite, I'm sort of like pretty immune to it, really. Rabbit says, Icke also says he walked away from his high-paying bank. Sorry, Brian Rose. I wanted to replace the pronoun. He walked away from his high-paying bank job for Fight for Freedom. Rabbit, did he, though? Did he? If he did, You know, just because someone says that, it doesn't mean it's not true, does it? Charles Scott says 9/11 demolition or planes can't turn solids into dust falling under gravity. Only a non-conventional explanation like an energy weapon is plausible. An inside job, no doubt. Correct, Charles. I mean, I think Dr. Judy Wood, her discovery, her work is irrefutable, to use that term. Irrefutable is the title of her documentary, and I think it is. Or is it in contra? The thing is, it's confusing. Again, this is the phony bone of contention, because there's a documentary called Irrefutable and one called Incontrovertible. I actually reviewed. I went to see a cinema showing of one of those, the non-Dr. Judy Wood one, and did like a review of it. The truth is out there somewhere. I'm sure it is. I thought Richard's Manchester bombing film was great. I was, however, curious as to how he manages to get hold of police radio comms. That, to me, is a very interesting part. I'm personally aware of how difficult that would be. I think it's possibly these were things that were published because the inquest was complete. Because there are police reports of police radio communications, and sometimes the interesting stuff is published, and because most people won't realize it's interesting. I haven't actually. I remember watching it on the DVD. I haven't watched it since then. I'll check out Neil. I'll go to Neil. I'm just thinking about Neil Sanders. I want to listen to his interview. Neil. Hang on. Oh, Neil Sanders. Because it'll be on his. I'm sure it'll be on his Facebook page. Oh, here we go. Yeah, YouTube. This is 4 hours ago. He did this. That's the Cambridge Analytica thing. Again, I think he makes some mistakes there, but I'll go through his Facebook. I'm a friend of his on Facebook, so yeah, there we go. Oh, hang on. Where are we now? Rabbit says he blocked Conspiracy Theory Watch. Yes, I blocked him on Twitter. I'll explain why in my next video. Rabbit Ike said he sacked himself. Those were his words. If he was sacked, then how come he didn't just why didn't he just do what Desmond Lynham did and go to ITV? What? Explain that, Rabbit. How did that happen? Scythantiop says CW Chanter on YT has done some quite good analysis of David Icke. I'm not familiar with that, Scythantiops. Rabbit says, I've just noticed that roll of tin foil is in the exact same place it was about 3 months ago. Well, I've moved it to get the dust off it, but I did put it back where I found it, yeah. Steve says, Icke says he was shocked by his sacking. A bolt out of the blue is how he described it. That's nothing like your account of the events. I've left comments on your videos that Blue couldn't answer. Well, Steve, I will come to those when I do my comments reply video in the next few days. Now, where did you find out about Icke? I mean, it was I think he was expecting his contract to be renewed and it wasn't. But I can't go into the details now. All right, but I think the idea that somehow he was forced out of his media career, when that's almost impossible to do. It's almost impossible to be forced out of a media career if you're already well known and famous. You have to willingly leave it, like Sharon Stone did, the actress Sharon Stone. In the 90s, she was very famous for films such as A Different Loyalty, Basic Instinct, Total Recall. And she basically left that entire world behind her. And today she lives a kind of normal life. There's no way there's no way that could happen without her deliberately choosing it. The Truth Is Out There says the comms for that incident was not publicly released. I questioned him on it, and he said he could not disclose. Interesting. Right. Well, if he got that, if he managed to retrieve that information illicitly, I would obviously maybe he can't. If it's an illicit source, he might not be able to divulge that. But of course, that makes it more interesting, doesn't it? Is it treason? Says Ben. Can you get back to the subject? Is this Magé thing worth the real deal, in your opinion? You're right, treason. Of course, I do go off topic with these things because comments do go off topic an awful lot. Is it the real deal? I don't know. Obviously, there are some things related to it that are not true. the white spot on Google Earth, there's nothing to that at all. As the guy with the motorbike has pointed out, someone has already mentioned that video. I've already watched it. The guy with the paraglider and the motorbike has proved that. It's also, there's a bit of confusion over areas. For example, we have Governor's Island. We have 3 different locations now. We have Magé, we have Governor's Island, and we have Port Grande, and we have the Imbel site. I know that Jay Matthews has said he's in touch with Brazilian ufologists. They're looking into it. It's still in the don't know box. So to get back to the topic, there are no final answers in this live stream, I'm afraid. Jock says night night. Night night, Jock. Rabbits video says, videos from the underground. Hello. Ike will probably get more views than ever now that he's banned. I hope so. I think he's got his name out there in a way it hasn't for ages. And these censorship attempts are backfiring more and more. Alex Jones has actually stated that he says being banned from social media was the best thing that's ever happened to him. Because of the Streisand effect. You know, this publicity, this negative publicity, the attempt to suppress has turned into more. It's turned into more publicity. Where am I now? Scythantiops. Just look up his channel. CW Chanter, a guy from New Jersey. Right, you are. I might recognize. Let's have a look. Is he the guy with the white balaclava? Is that him? Oh, right. I don't know this guy. I was thinking of the guy with the white balaclava. Well, I forgot what his name is, but I've watched his videos a few times. I got this guy with a beard here. Right. I'll check him out. I'll check him out, guys. I will. Rabbit says, so are you now saying that Ike was surprised when he sacked himself? No, what happened was, Rabbit, the sacking himself thing came with reflection. It was after a while he looked back on it and realized that that's what it really had been. His higher self. You've got to read the book to get the details. Steve Palmer says, Ike was a part-time presenter, nothing like as famous as Sharon Stone. Yes, he was. In fact, when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, he was a household name. He was on TV all the time, presenting. He was in the world of sports journalism. He was the biggest name, and he was going more and more and more. His career was, his star was rising, definitely. Edwardian lady, hello, Edwardian lady. It's good to see you again. You may have noticed, Edwardian lady. You haven't seen her in it, Sharon. You haven't seen any films with her in Sharon Stone for a while. You haven't, have you? She really has. She actually said a lot of interesting things about how she didn't enjoy her acting career. Obviously, she made a lot of money, which I expect she's obviously now she doesn't have to worry about money because she's made enough probably to live on for the rest of her life. But she has moved on from it, and she said she didn't enjoy it. Rabbit says, okay. Rabbit and Steve are having and Zythantiops having a discussion. The Truth Is Out There says, have you got any more alternative media links, as they seem to be disappearing into the abyss? Right, links go into the go in for admin, but I do publish them if they're legit, if they're not like some trolling stuff. Charles says the Magé UFO is difficult to know whether it's fact or fiction. Perhaps there's a fake footage to discredit the real footage. Well, you could, as I said, the Imbel thing looks like that's exactly what it is. The thing about, I do think the Factory of Stars thing, the 212th anniversary, looks suspiciously like backfilling. You know, we're going to have a big explosion for the 212th anniversary. We didn't do one for the 200th. That was only 12 years ago. Sorry, we'll do one for the 212th. I know it's the lockdown, but we'll get some people in to set off these explosions. I know it's right next to an ordnance store where there's lots of other pieces of explosive, and it could be dangerous. We're still going to set off some explosions. There's going to be no fireworks. No one will see anything except a cloud of smoke. They're just going to hear some loud bangs. That's a great way to celebrate an anniversary, isn't it? It's dodgy. It's as dodgy as hell, Charles. So again, I'm afraid this is at the end of this live stream. It's still in the don't know basket. I'm not going to be honest and say I'm not going to jump to conclusions and say it's a real UFO, it's a real Roswell type crash. And at the same time, I'm not going to say it's all fake. It was all nothing. This was all a big mistake. It was just a hype that ran away. It grew legs on social media, and it became a meme, and there was nothing really going on. I'm not going to say either of those things. Oh, hang on. I'm getting tired now. Steve says, come off it, Ben. He used to do the daytime snooker only when he the only time he presented big audience shows was when he was filling in for another presenter on holiday. Not true, Steve. He did Saturday Superstore. He did Grandstand. He was actually presenting Grandstand several times. He did the Royal Variety Show. And he was getting more. His contract was not renewed at a time when he was essentially getting more and more successful. His star was rising, not setting. Rabbit says, did he complain to himself about him sacking himself? I think, Rabbit, he might have sued himself for unfair dismissal. But you know what actually happened, Rabbit, was that at the time he was upset about it, but then when he went through his turquoise period and he came out the other side when the water had settled at a higher level and the top of his head sort of got back together and he stopped walking along the country lanes and hearing nymphs, he understood it for what it was. I mean, I myself look back at my discharge from the NHS in the same way. I think possibly that was meant to happen, which is why I think at the time I was horrified by it. But I look back on it now, and to be honest, it's probably a good thing it happened, because I'm wondering what would have happened to my life if I'd stayed in hospital portrait. How would I, what state would I be in? I mean, it's not like I'm sort of out on my ear sleeping on park benches, is it? I mean, I've got a home, I've got a roof over, food on, I'm employed. Rabbit says he had a raging argument with himself and walked out on himself. He's now using himself. Just like Jeremy Clarkson, yes. Jeremy Clarkson's higher self. Charles says, stick with Roswell, Ben. That's virtually your concrete proof that extraterrestrial spacecraft are visiting Earth. I am sticking with it, but I'm looking at other interesting cases too. Steve says, put the spade down, Ben. Oh, you can see one of my gardening tools there, can't you? Yeah. Rabbit says, so we get to the truth. He was sacked. Look, Rabbit, can we discuss this another time? I'm getting tired now, all right? I'm getting tired. Videos says, David Icke had a paranormal experience in Peru. It's made him a better man on a mission. That's right, yes. That was when he did the thing with the rain. It'll be over when you feel the rain. Hugo Roon says, Rabbit, 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 Rabbit. That's a Chaz and Dave song, yeah. Rabbit says, I don't know about how you were sacked. All right. Rabbit, I've done videos about being sacked when I was discharged from the NHS. Can we call it a night now, guys? I've been going 2 hours, 7 minutes. So thank you, all of you, for taking part in this live stream. No final answers, but there will be more on this particular subject. All right, Steve, I'll talk about Ike another time, okay? About another time. People are posting comments now. Ben, have you been ejected from D Hall? I don't think so. I think my videos are still on there. I don't think Richard does. I don't think he prunes his videos. He keeps them all up there. Night, night, Edwardian lady. Sleep well. Hey, Sue Hayward Tonkin has just turned up. I'm sorry. And she's asking about Brian Rose. Oh my goodness, Sue, you've just lit the touch paper to another hour of live streaming, and I'm sorry. I need to stop now. I'm sorry. I really am. Good night, Hugo. I'm terribly sorry, Sue. This has happened. I know what the time zone you're in makes it difficult for you, and that's difficult. Charles, yeah, I mean, Roswell, I think, is certainly sorted, I think. Charles, good night. Night, night, Jeremy. Night, night. I love the alien emoji. Night, night, Diego Rivera. Thank you, all of you, for taking part in this live stream. Without you, it'll just be me reading out something out for half an hour. It will literally just be that. But because you come in and you post questions and comments, it means that I can continue the live stream. Night videos. Thank you. I will do. I will do. You guys take care. If there's an update on this case, there'll be more. Okay, there'll be more from me on it. I'm going to keep my eye on Magé. A Night Rabbit, off to his hutch, yes. Proselytizing Orthodox Pentecostal trans rabbit. I will keep an eye on the Magé case and keep you updated. Do follow me on Twitter and Facebook, unless your video's from the underground and you've been blocked. Most people, I've only blocked a handful of people. Like I said, there's going to be a comment reply video coming very soon. That's my next project. It would have been now if it hadn't been for the Magé UFO case. So that's the only reason you don't have a comment reply video now. But you'll get one soon. Okay, and I'm not going to let them go as long. It'll be a shorter one and more often. So people are asking me questions now about Alex Jones. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to have to call it a night now. So thank you, all of you, all for watching, and farewell. Till the next time.